Hey Cellar Hackers, welcome to the Cellar. Today we're going to dive into one of the most exciting parts of wine appreciation. That's right, tasting the wine. It's not about sipping, it's about savoring the entire experience. So let's get our taste buds ready and go exploring together. So not to bore you with recaps, but first things first, we're going to take a look. We're going to tilt the wine over sideways and look at it at a white background and evaluate the hue and the legs and sort of get an understanding of the alcohol content. Then we'll give it another swirl, stick our nose in it, look for our primary aromas, citrus, stone fruit, berries, our secondary aromas, sort of a yeasty, cheese, buttery situation. And then the aromas that come from aging. Maybe it's cedar, some spices. And now we kind of understand what we're about to get into. Let's do that tasting part. So it's time to take a sip. Everybody can do it differently. I like to aerate it in my mouth a little bit and start to pick up on some flavors. Looks kind of like this, sounds kind of like this. Sounds worse than it is. And I'm starting to evaluate the body of the wine. Is it skim milk in my mouth? Is it 2% milk? Is it whole milk? And I already am coming up with some flavors. So let's talk about those flavors. And as you taste, think of the primary flavors. These come from the grapes themselves, like stone fruit, berries, citrus. In this one, I get a little bit of ripe cherry, raspberry, and maybe a hint of mushroom. Now, pay attention to the intensity of these flavors as well. Is it strong? Is it in your face? Is it bold? And just take note of that, and already you might have some markers that let you know what this wine is. Next, consider the acidity. Acidity gives the wine its freshness, its zestiness. Acidity makes your mouth water. It's like biting into a green apple or a lemon. This Pinot has fairly high acidity, kind of zingy. Then there's the tannins. The tannins come from the seeds, the stems, the skins, and maybe even from the barrels. The tannins provide complexity, maybe even some bitterness, kind of like black tea. To sense the tannins, take a small sip. Hold it in your mouth for a second and see if you feel the sensation around the front of your mouth, around your gums. That's the tannins at work. The tannins tend to dry out your saliva, kind of like biting into an unripe banana. Tannins can be smooth and velvety or firm and grippy. This Pinot Noir, it's neither. It barely exists. In a Merlot, very smooth and velvety. In a big cab, firm and grippy. But tannins play a big part in the overall complexity and structure of a wine. So I find a lot of times that people get acidity and tannins confused, so let's clear that up a little bit. Acidity makes your mouth water, like biting in a lemon or something like that. You feel it on the sides of your mouth and maybe in your side of your gums, maybe the side of your tongue. Tannins, on the other hand, are in the front of your mouth, and they, instead of making your mouth water, it's as if it grips your mouth and dries it out, and you feel it around your teeth and in the front of your gums. And some people even feel a sensation like in their sinuses. So tannins dry your mouth. Acidity makes your mouth water is the best way I know to put it. And at the end of it is at the end of it. How long does it take for the taste to go away? The finish, is it long Does it end early? Does it end with a fruity taste? Does it end with the tannins burning your gums? What is that sensation? So we're talking about now basically the length of finish and how it finishes. And you take all these aspects and you can deduce. I could put 4 wines here and look at the color and probably say this is Pinot. And then I could smell the other 3 and say, yeah, I can now say this is probably one of 2 other things, and taste it and confirm what I've seen and what I've smelled. And ultimately, with a little bit of practice, throw 6 red wines in a lineup, and you could most likely pick out Zinfandel, Merlot, Cab, Pinot, Chateauneuf du Pape, Chianti. It gets tough sometimes in some whites. Some reds are tougher, but that's kind of the point of tasting wine, to evaluate and set markers. Some wines you can get a hint of bell pepper and you can say, you know what, that's this group. You're leaving out this group. So it's just fun to practice. It's fun to note what you're tasting. And I'd love for you to reach out and tell me the wine and tell you what you taste, because again, there's no wrong answer and everybody's taste buds are different. So, from the cellar, so long.